Hey, what's up, little beans? 'Tis I, the Papa Bean, the pappiest of beans, if one will. Right now, I am filming this in the Morrison's car park because I have a job and I don't get much time to myself, and I still live at home. Therefore, I don't really get the house to myself to actually film things I want to do. I went to see The Shape of Water last night with my mum, my nana, my sister, and I absolutely loved it. I mean, I'm already kind of biased because I'm a massive fan of Guillermo del Toro. Crimson Peak is in my top 5 favourite films. Crimson Peak is my feel-good film, which, if you've seen it, may be of some concern to you. But if you know me, you'll know that everything in that film is the kind of weird stuff I enjoy, and it's my feel-good film. Don't judge me. Alright, I have to talk about The Shape of Water. I totally understand all the hype about it. I mean, I already understood it before I even seen it because it's Guillermo del Toro, and like I said, I'm biased and he's my favourite director and I just assume he can do no wrong. So I want to talk about the character of Eliza to start with. So there are obviously going to be spoilers in this, so if you haven't seen it and you don't want some spoilers, maybe you shouldn't be watching. So Eliza, my only kind of criticism about this is that the character, she was mute. That is not my criticism. My criticism is that they probably could have got someone who was maybe mute or deaf to play that character. Like, this film very much followed the theme of marginalization and could have got a disabled person to kind of play that role, you know, somebody who actually has that kind of disability. Other than that though, overall, I'm really satisfied with the film. The character of Eliza was just amazing. Like, she was so cute, she was so funny, she was so intelligent, and she just had a heart. Like, she had just a beautiful pure heart, and she clearly just saw like magic in everything, and I absolutely loved that. I think everything about that was just incredible, and she's a really nice little character, 100%. You know, the kind of character I think we need to see more in cinema. I loved the colour palette for this film. Like, there was just a beautiful use of like colour, particularly in Eliza and Giles's apartments. They actually gave me a bit of a throwback vibe to Crimson Peak, which is probably why I really like the colour palette used in their particular kind of thing. But there was like a drastic change between the kind of the set for them, like for the apartments, to the set of like the science base, because this film was set in the 1960s. It's set like kind of in this kind of science base where they're keeping sexy Fishman. Just, I thought the contrast between the kind of the colour palettes used and the style of the sets was really good. The few kind of places you saw outside had a really good, that classic 60s vibe. Again, just beautiful use of colour. Guillermo knows how to use colour, and I absolutely am living for it. Okay, the Fishman, the sexy amphibious man. What the fuck was up with them abs? What the fuck was up with that body? Like, oh my god. A fishman shouldn't be sexy, but the Fishman was sexy, and girl can get it, and he can get it too. And that's all I'm going to say on that, because I'm aware that that is something I'm probably going to be judged for saying. Sexy Fishman. Michael Shannon and Octavia Spencer were both in this film. I absolutely love them both. Michael Shannon was one of my favourite characters in Boardwalk Empire, and I have never once been disappointed with any performance by Octavia Spencer. She's just incredible, he's incredible, and it was so good to see them both like in this film together, like such talented people getting to kind of have scenes together and kind of play off each other. Like, that was really cool to get to see. Their performances are really good, definitely worth a watch. The biggest deal about this film, and why I think it is such a big deal, is this film was clearly about being intersectional and about minorities coming together, and for me that was like just such an important thing in this day and age to kind of see. Guillermo del Toro is a Mexican director, and he obviously does a lot of his films kind of in America. America as a country, you know, I'm not from there, I'm from Scotland, but you know, we see it all the time in the news, we see it discussed all the time in their films. You know, there's a lot of discrimination against people that do come from South America when they move to the States. So he's obviously experienced a lot of discrimination and marginalization. It's something he's familiar with, and it's something that showed so beautifully in this piece of work. We had Eliza, who was a disabled person. She was mute, she couldn't speak, you know, so she's at a disadvantage in terms of how she communicates with people, because if they don't know sign language, they can't understand her. We had you know, Octavia Spencer's character, Zelda was a working class black woman who, you know, she works her ass off. Then you hear her complain about how, you know, her feet are always in pain, but when she goes home, she's got to wait hand and foot on her family. Like, that is just such a relatable thing, I think, to kind of black American women across America, and probably to black women across the world, as well as just women in general, of kind of never getting to stop, never getting to take a break. And we had Giles. Giles was gay. Again, he was like a starving artist, so you've got kind of two minorities there. Like, creative people usually aren't really taken seriously in a lot of industries. Gay people are still heavily discriminated against. Then you had the character of Dimitri. It may not be obvious why Dimitri's a minority, but I class him as one in this film because he was a scientist who nobody was taking seriously. Not only was he really passionate about learning, like he wanted to learn and understand, but he was the only one that took into account that sexy Fishman had feelings and he was intelligent. He was the only one that really was taking that seriously when it came to like a scientific kind of point of view. The rest of them were all too scared. They wanted to dissect it, they wanted to destroy it, they wanted to torture it, but he didn't want to do that. He wanted to learn more about this creature, where it came from, what could it mean for us scientifically, what does it mean for the world. And in this day and age, when people aren't taking science seriously, he is a minority. Scientists all over the world are being ignored. People, you know, question things like vaccinations. People no longer, you know, believe in things like climate change. And, you know, the big one that's recently come to the surface is obviously flat earthers. I have a friend that's a flat earther, and if he's watching this, he knows exactly who he is, and I'm calling you out, son. We've got like this group of like 4 minorities who come together to save this 5th person, sexy Fishman. And they save him, you know, like, and overall that was incredible to see all these people who learned from each other, who kind of recognized that they were all out of place in this kind of world they were living in, that they didn't fit the mold of what people wanted, which was the character Michael Shannon played was like the most stereotypical, but, you know, really fitting for the kind of story of this movie. You know, very stereotypical white man in power. He abused his power, he threw it about, he didn't care about the consequences to anyone except himself, and even then, not really. For me, one of the most pivotal scenes in this film, which I think is everyone really needs to take a close look at, was the scene in the pie shop. So Giles is having kind of pie in this pie shop, and it's made really obvious from the start of the film he kind of has a crush on the guy behind the bar who runs it. And he makes it obvious to this guy that he likes him, he is interested, and the guy straight out rejects him. Right after the guy straight out rejects him and is clearly disgusted to find out that Giles is gay, a black couple come in and they get told to leave. The restaurant is empty, there's plenty of seats, but they still get told to leave. And we all know why, because they're black. That's why they're getting told to leave. It was really uncomfortable to watch. I think the important thing about that scene was that Giles, you know, I think had this realization of, you know, he could stand by and watch that happen, or he could do something about it. And he also obviously had this realization where his minority, what he is, he can hide it because he's still white. Nobody has to know he's gay until he tells them. But unfortunately, if you aren't white, your skin colour is something you can't really hide. It's out in the open for everyone to see and take advantage of. And I think that was such a pivotal scene. It was like really good to kind of see that sort of scene where somebody else kind of has that realization that they do have a slight advantage and that they should use it to help other people. And that's just such an important thing to kind of see. This film 100% like kind of took that idea of people who are marginalized and who are minorities, the idea that, you know, yes, you're afraid, but take your fear and run with it. It might not pay off, but the point is you did something. You tried. And I think that right now, the way things are going politically is a film and a message everyone really needs to see. Okay, my next point. This one might be a bit weird about one of the things I liked about this film. This film showed a woman masturbating, and I know that might seem really odd to kind of want to talk about, but the fact is, women masturbate, and the fact that they showed that, like, it wasn't there for comedy purposes, it was literally just, you got to see the everyday life of Eliza, her everyday routine. She masturbates. And I like that, okay? I like the fact that this film was kind of open about the fact that this is something people do, okay? It's normal, it's healthy, people do it. There's a good chance that for admitting so publicly that women masturbate, the Illuminati are about to drag me off. Who knows? Because for some reason, the fact that human beings in general masturbate is something we're all absolutely terrified of. We're such an uncomfortable, species. Well, we just don't seem to like anything. What is wrong with us? Just kind of branching off from masturbation, the way you do. Just to talk about general sexuality, I like that they showed Eliza, had that kind of just a very normal, run-of-the-mill sexual appetite. That was great. But for me, personally, this is just a personal thing, I interpret this character as being kind of demisexual. Yeah, she experienced sexual desire and she kind of, took care of it in her own way. But I think one of the things I really liked, though, was her relationship with, the incredibly sexy Fishman, aka Doug Jones, aka incredibly sexy Fishman, was that she, developed an emotional relationship with him that then developed into a romance that then developed into love. And it wasn't until she kind of was romantically involved and was in love with him that she, made that move and actually had sex with him. And while sexuality is a spectrum and there are lots of different definitions and the way people experience things like asexuality and demisexuality, it's all very different. For me personally, I interpret her as being demisexual, and I thought that was great to see. It was nice to see a character who developed sexual desire for someone after they got the emotional development. Things like my sexuality and gender identity, they're things I don't really discuss with people for the simple reason it's not that I'm afraid of what people are going to say, it's just that I'm too lazy to answer questions about it. So for me personally, seeing a demisexual character on camera was really cool. It was good to see, and that's my personal interpretation. You can interpret it however you want. Everything about this film was incredible. I, always expect big things from Guillermo del Toro, and he delivers every time. This film deserves everything that it has won so far, and it deserves everything it's yet to be, hopefully awarded. It is incredible. This film is also just a beautiful love story between, two people who don't fit into the world that they were born into. And it's also just a beautiful love story about humans and how we can, be good, we can overcome things. And that was just amazing to see. I loved it. This film was just incredible. Please go see it if you haven't. Honestly, it will just light up your life. It's also really weird, so be prepared for that, but it will light up your life. Just kind of to finish off with a couple of personal things, I have started a new job and I've been there for about a week. I am enjoying it so far. It's been good, and overall I'm doing okay for those of you who are my friends on the personal level who are interested. I've been working out a bit more, which has been good, getting back into the gym. I am 10 chapters into a book I've been writing, and that's me on the personal stuff. I just wanted to talk about sex, Fishman, masturbation, and some personal stuff. That was the agenda today, and it has been achieved. Goodbye, Papa Bean, signing off. Stay soft, stay fresh, all those things, guys. I still don't know how to finish a YouTube video, so it's really uncomfortable for me filming this right now. Yeah, pal, I'm filming in my car. What you gonna do about it? I'm talking to myself. What you gonna do about it?